Good morning, everyone. It is time for First Alert Weather Extra. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Jill Gilardi here, and we're going to be tracking some hot weather, muggy and humid conditions for a while, kind of daily chances even for showers and storms. The stronger storms we're expecting more so tomorrow. But let's talk about it. We're breaking down all these First Alert weather days. So today, the heat index, how your body says it feels, could get as high as that mid-90-degree range. Now, we have more clouds across our sky, so that's going to help slow the warming process. Doesn't mean it feels great out there because it's so humid. But some downpours, some storms will be a part of the mix. We've been monitoring radar trends very closely to our south. Eventually, they'll start to pop up across our state. So impacts to outdoor plans and travel. Heat advisory in effect until 8 o'clock. Now, this is for our 3 northeasternmost counties. This could be extended into tomorrow. You'll see why in just a minute. Moderate heat risk today. There are areas across New England where it's a lot worse. But nonetheless, the feels like trend today will get into that low mid 90-degree field this afternoon for several hours. But yeah, you want to knock out those outdoor activities if you can before 10 o'clock, because then it starts to become very uncomfortable and tougher for your body to cool off. Tomorrow, look at that, feels like temperature mid, maybe upper 90-degree feel range. We'll probably have a little bit more sunshine too. Plenty of fuel for some thunderstorms later in the day. And look at that heat risk up to major across parts of central and northeastern Connecticut for tomorrow. So tomorrow is also a First Alert weather day. We'll be tracking the heat and also the development of strong afternoon, evening thunderstorms. There will be some additional impacts from that. You could get a damaging wind-producing storm to pass on by tomorrow. That's a possibility, and some locally heavy rainfall. There could be some localized flooding that develops. Just a lot of tropical juice and moisture in the air. We've been monitoring on radar trends some of that tropical moisture in the form of developing downpours, getting up close to Long Island now. Again, eventually Connecticut will see some of this rain moving in. Not everyone, so you'll have to check your plants out if you need to know if they need to be watered after you see what moves through today. But that swirl you see across Virginia that's kind of getting sheared apart somewhat, that is what was left of Tropical Storm Chantal, obviously much weaker, but all that tropical moisture, it is heading up in our direction. So that will definitely aid in the development of these showers, downpours, maybe a few thunderstorms even later this morning, and at times through this afternoon. Quieter, maybe not completely dry overnight, but really the next round is tomorrow afternoon and early evening hours, and then we've had to add some of that rain back to the forecast for Wednesday too. The wind gust trend, well, at least it will help kind of make you feel a little better outside. At least it's not completely stagnant air. So the breeze coming up out of the south generally today, 10 to 20 miles per hour. We're expecting, again, the First Alert weather day today and tomorrow for the heat and the storm risk. And then it's still muggy despite a front slipping to our south by Wednesday. And unfortunately, still looks like we'll have the possibility of thunderstorms. We fine-tune that forecast, especially for the noon news. Once some new data comes in, that happens after 10 o'clock this morning. All right, the temperature trend, very hot tomorrow. And then we're still pretty toasty Wednesday. Backs off some. And then low 80s generally for highs on Saturday. Now, in terms of the dew point, this is really a measure of comfort or lack thereof. There is a possibility now that this meter might start to trend downward some towards the weekend. I don't want to get overly excited because this is one model. Another model shows it stays pretty muggy through the weekend. Heat index trend, of course, is going to be worse in the short term today and tomorrow, pretty extreme. Then it starts to kind of back off some. So, yep, this is the last of the weekends. We made it 18 and not 19. Capped it right there with at least trace amounts of precipitation on either day for the Hartford area. So that graphic's going away. All right, 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Yeah, trending a little wetter than average, certainly. But the longer range, equal chances. Now, in terms of the heat, looks to be leaning a little hotter than average as we look beyond the 7-day as well. And so then we look at average to remind ourselves what's normal. 63 is the normal low, 85 is the normal high. So forget about that 63 for a while. We enjoyed that Friday and Saturday even with a lot of 50s. But yeah, and then in terms of the highs, yeah, we have opportunities certainly of being closer to normal. Now, what it feels like, that won't be normal. It's going to feel above average and be slightly above average the next 3 days. And so that hot feel, you got to be very cautious about that. If you must be outside in those conditions, you know the drill, how to stay safe from the heat. And then we'll have to be monitoring with any outdoor activities, kiddos at camp, yada, 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 that these thunderstorms could be popping up, and pack a little bit more of a punch for Tuesday. Of course, any lightning means your outdoor plans are over and done with until that storm is long gone. 30 minutes after the last clap of thunder, technically. Lightning can strike over 10 miles away from a storm, so it doesn't have to be raining. That's why we always want to take it seriously. And then, here we go. We got to add the storm chance back on the forecast for Wednesday. It looked like at one point it was leaning a little drier, and then they all had to start gaining up on Wednesday, and models showing a higher chance now. And then afternoon pop-ups for muggy conditions, and it's iffy. But we'll see subtle changes with those dew points, and you can tell that it does calm down like a hair, because if you have lows in the 70s versus the mid-60s, yeah, the dew points are a little lower, but it's still not going to feel like incredible. And then as we take a look at the shoreline, high temperature forecast, a little lower towards the end of the week as well, but pretty mild conditions, but seasonal and summery weather. It is here. All right, that is your latest First Alert Weather Extra. Definitely be checking back in with us at 9:30. We'll go over anything left over on radar, of course, update you on any changes to the forecast, since we'll have a ton of new data to sift through and tweak our forecast as needed. All right, everyone, have a good rest of your day. Stay cool. Keep an eye out for any developing showers and storms, and hope you have a great start to your week.